Welcome to the Sis You Are Worthy podcast, the only podcast for ambitious, professional women of color, women who are tired of playing small and ready to take their rightful seat at the table. If you're ready to learn how to take back your power, be confident, decide what you want, and go get it, then you're in the right place. I'm your host, Anita Miller, confidence and career coach for women of color. Let's get started. Hey sis, welcome to today's podcast called Feedback Internalized. Feedback internalized is a term I want to use to describe the concept of someone giving you feedback, solicited or unsolicited. Then, once you hear this feedback, you incorporate it or take hold of it, and the feedback is kind of internalized within your mind, body, and spirit on a conscious or subconscious level. The reason you want to be aware of the feedback you've internalized is because if it's not intentionally addressed, it has the capacity to take you down a path of self-doubt, confusion, despair, and all the feelings that create stagnation in your career, and ultimately can act as a mechanism to further disconnect you from who you are and the version of you who is ready to evolve into the next level of your greatness. When you receive feedback in the workplace and what you make the feedback, which includes microaggressions, performance reviews, racist comments, and general snide remarks, mean about who you are, the content of your character, and your ability to reach your goals will determine the amount of time, the pace, and the likelihood that you reach your fullest potential. Let me be clear that your fullest potential far exceeds what you think is possible for you, but not what they know and can see is possible from you. A couple of weeks ago, I had the most beautiful conversation with a sister. We're talking and she's telling me that the company she worked for has been bought out, and the new company has since changed her role, title, hours. Of course, this has all been changed and is not to her liking or her benefit. She shares more with me about what's happening in her day-to-day, how they want her to do more or come to her for questions, all of which are above and beyond what her new role requires of her. But with that said, they won't give her the role that she wants and that she's qualified for. Then we move into talking about what she wants for herself going forward. She states that she's in the process of self-evaluation or self-reflection, if you will. And the conversation continues. We hop to a couple other different topics regarding work. I let her know that I completely understood the things that she was telling me. I could totally relate. But I also wanted to take the opportunity to go back to the statement that she had made about being in a phase of self-evaluation. She told it to me as if it was no big deal. But in my spirit, I knew differently. So I didn't want to just skip past it. Sis, we love to stay in the place of active, focused, growth-based learning. And when we're in that place, the energy you give me is very positive and it's very energetic and excited. So when I hear you tell me that you're in the process of self-discovery, reflection, or whatever term you would like to use for what is ultimately picking yourself apart in an unhealthy manner, I know that it's due to some form of feedback you've internalized. Now, had the pretext for this conversation been self-evaluation from a proactive career growth again, that would mean that things are good at work, that you are where you want to be, and coaching is a mechanism to help you level up, groom yourself in preparation for your next level before you even get there. You feel me? That wasn't the case in this scenario. So what I say to her and what I'm saying to you, sis, is to be careful with going down the path of self-evaluation based on something someone said to you. At the point in our conversation that I say this to her, nowhere has she provided any commentary around her performance or feedback regarding it. But guess what? Sure enough, this is exactly what had taken place. She responds and tells me that during the transition at work, she received a random phone call from what seemingly is a kind white man. And the nice white man told her that they knew that she could do the job that she wanted, but ultimately it was her how or people skills that needed work. And this nice white man, I'm sure, thought that he was doing her a favor and at least providing her with feedback so that she knew why things wasn't happening in a manner she believed was possible, that she earned, deserved, or was qualified for, right? I took some time after our call and I gave thought to why feedback in and of itself didn't naturally come up in the conversation. And to be honest and to be fair, feedback doesn't typically come up in my initial conversations with potential clients. And so I wondered why that was, given the amount or lack thereof of feedback that we get in the workplace. What came to me is that feedback is one of those topics that is just easy to dismiss or requires a great deal of vulnerability on your part that you likely struggle with giving or even tapping into. I imagine that from her perspective and for many of you, that the feedback that we're given is among the many random things that can happen to us at work. But what I help you see as your coach is that feedback is like charcoal on the grill. It's the foundation. It was easy to dismiss it. It's easy to ignore charcoal. No one really cares about the charcoal. It's just necessary, right? It's a part of the process. So it's easy to dismiss it because the feedback in and of itself isn't painful enough. Feedback on a basic level doesn't impact your livelihood. That is, though, until someone throws lighter fluid on it and you get passed over for a promotion, demoted, or some other foolishness that takes place in the days of our lives at work. What I want you to see, though, is that the match to light the charcoal that sets it all on fire isn't them or what they've done. It's useless. It's all the negative thoughts that you have about you that give the charcoal that has the lighter fluid, the fuel, the life to create a fire. Their words meant nothing. What they did meant nothing until you gave it meaning, until you gave it life. If you've been told that you're too direct, demanding, aggressive, harsh, rub people the wrong way, need to be just a little bit softer, or something similar, raise your hand. I think we all know my hand is raised. Feedback, internalized, is when someone gives you feedback, whether you ask for it or not, and you make it mean something negative about you. Many times we avoid dealing with the feedback because it just doesn't feel good. But failing to address it prolongs the symptoms and the depth for which you internalize the feedback without even noticing it. Like your brain literally takes you down a path where the little voice in the back of your head is now going wild with negative thoughts about who you are, what you're capable of, and it's all wrapped up in the patriarchal whiteness of also what it means to be Black and be a woman in the workplace. At some point in your career, feedback will trigger unprocessed emotions and thoughts that maybe, just maybe, what other people have said about you is true. In the past, you were just able to brush the feedback off. And because you brushed it off, you didn't resolve it or reconcile it within you. You didn't decide if it was true or not. It's more likely even that you suppressed it in order to keep moving. Now though, when you receive feedback about your character, it triggers you because it's likely you're at a place in your career where you feel stuck and don't like what's happening on a significant level. See, before when you brushed it off, it was because your defense system, your hustle mindset, your scarcity mindset could focus or refocus on hope. It could see the little small, tangible progress you were making and convince you to keep your eye on the prize. Plus, let's just be honest. Ain't nobody got time to be worrying about what white people think when the number one mission that we take into work is to level up from a place of survival. However, because that's our mindset when we go into the workplace, it's only when survival is reached or threatened that we, yes you sis, stop long enough to somehow go down a path of self-evaluation. It's why we are always running, always behind. In order to get ahead, you have to move from being on the defensive to being on the offensive. I want you to spend your time evolving proactively into the person you were meant to be, your authentic self, and not the person you think you need to be based on your boss or someone at work's feedback about who you are. Feedback internalized and unchecked can be dangerous and is not the place you want to start on your path of self-exploration, especially when the goal that you truly desire is positive growth, to be accepted, appreciated, and valued for who you are, not who they want you to be. When you react to the feedback that you've internalized, it's because it's triggered a negative emotion and you're trying to fix it. You think the way to fix it is by fixing you. You don't need to be fixed, sis. You are not broken. You are human. Nothing has gone wrong with you. As a people, we are not taught soft skills. We are not taught skills of how to gracefully lead and interact with others. Our hard skills, such as our technical capabilities, abilities to problem solve, ability to understand complex information, understand new and dynamic information. All of that is inherent to our DNA and our environment. It's why it comes so easy to us at work. Our foundation for soft skills, etiquette, grace, and love, well, that all comes from our initial programming, the programming we received as children, and for most of us was given to us by our elders, white people, and the church. That foundation, though, set a detrimental pretext for who we are as people, for who you are, what is possible, and it's triggered when you leave feedback from work unchecked. The foundation we have as Black people, as Black women, for interacting with other humans is based in fear, scarcity, limiting beliefs, and judgment. We are either in a constant state of being afraid or judging. It's why you won't take action. It's why you won't step outside your comfort zone. It's why we have cancel culture. It's why there's a overarching pretext that as Black women we can't get along. This also extends to teaching our kids to be afraid of the police, to judging every decision our sisters make as if all of our life choices have been perfect, or that they need to be perfect to be accepted in the eyes of whiteness. Nowhere, except here on this podcast and in the Confident Career Collective, of course, do we talk or teach about soft skills, such as how to influence, motivate, engage, lead, connect, or understand people, all while being your true self. There is a difference between thinking that who I am as a person needs to change in order for me to be liked or accepted, versus I want to learn a new skill, such as leadership, emotional intelligence, or influence, that I can then use and leverage in the workplace, all while being my true self. Here's the work, sis. Remember that people will follow you and remember you based on how you made them feel. What you said and how you said it only matters when the feeling you had or they had created negative energy and emotion. When receiving feedback in the workplace, take the opportunity to 1, evaluate the feedback objectively. What someone says is a circumstance, and you get to think, feel, and do whatever you want with it. As a pro tip, ask yourself useful questions. An example would be, is it true? Take that evaluation into step 2, which is to process it. For example, I've been told that I'm direct. If I ask myself, is it true? The answer would be yes. I then get to decide how I want to feel about it. And from there, I get to decide or take action on what to do with the information. I've decided that being direct is a part of who I am. I don't want to not be direct. Trust me, I've tried. What I've learned is I show up less than my best self when I try to be someone I am not. It's also how I know when you're trying to evaluate yourself, not from growth and evolution, but from self-doubt and lack. There is nothing wrong with me. There is nothing wrong with you. There is nothing wrong with being direct. What someone thinks about directness is their thought. It's an opinion. And guess what? We all have the right to our opinions. It is what makes being human beings so great. If we all thought alike, we'd be robots. And what fun would that be? So when I think about deciding what I want to do with this information, for me, it's a yes when it comes to being direct, strong-willed, opinionated, as well as all the other areas of who I am that I want to grow, that I am looking to evolve. Where someone else may see directness as a negative thing, I've chosen to see the ingredients of directness, strong-willed, opinionated, as what makes me a remarkable woman, person, coach, thought leader, and the reason that I have the ability to help people transform. When you know who you are, it makes it a whole lot harder for others to create self-doubt within you. Decide if the feedback presents an opportunity for you to level up or if you should just let it go. I believe that there is a lesson in everything. At a minimum, ask yourself, how can you use the situation that brought about the feedback for your good? It is possible to turn it into an opportunity, even if it created self-doubt initially. It's not all or nothing, sis. There's still time to decide what to do with the information and how you want to move forward intentionally. As you move throughout your day and your career, keep in mind that most feedback is like that essay that you wrote in English class. It's subjective. Just because another person has a thought or an opinion about you doesn't make it a fact or the truth about who you are. Stop internalizing feedback that doesn't serve you. Evaluate it, process it, then decide if you're using it to level up or if you're letting it go. Don't spend time going down a rabbit hole or spinning out because the feedback you receive has you confused now and you're trying to be someone that you're not. The best version of you is always the version of you who is true to you and in alignment with you. If you've received feedback that has taken you to a place of negative self-talk, it's creating self-doubt, or you feel stuck because you're not what they say you are, or you don't want to be who they say you need to be, then reach out to me at Anita@sisyouareworthy.com. Let's talk about how I can help you stand firm in knowing who you are and that who you are is enough, and help you show up with confidence regardless of the feedback that you receive or where you are in your career right here and right now. Sis, you are worthy, and what somebody says doesn't change your worth. I love you, sis. Let's get to work.